IVM.
In IPL, players get rewards and awards when they play, but Cred gives you rewards and awards when you pay. Yes, folks, make your credit card pay you back. One of the best tips I can give is to pay your credit card bill in the power play overs and stand a chance to win 100% cash back. Folks, welcome to Paisa Vaisa. I'm your host Anupam Gupta, B50 on Twitter, and this is the Market Pulse special. If you guys have seen the Market Pulse app on your respective mobile stores, app stores on iPhone or the Android, you would notice that the Market Pulse is a fairly exhaustive and extensive app. I'm here with the founders, Amit Dhakad and Hiral Jain. They're founders of the Market Pulse app. So Amit, Hiral, welcome to Paisa Vaisa. Thank you so much for doing this for our listeners.
Thank you for having us here on Paisa Vaisa.
Sure. So just tell us quickly about yourselves, your background, and how did you guys come about to making the Market Pulse app, or did you guys just wake up one fine day and said, let's do it? You guys have a background in the markets. Let's just get a brief introduction into yourselves.
Absolutely. So I've spent about 13 years in shaping engineering cultures, practices, and building softwares that solve a wide variety of problems. At Market Pulse, I'm just kind of bringing together a bunch of folks and empowering them to solve hard problems and be happy at the same time. For me, Market Pulse happened by chance. I never imagined myself in the capital markets, actually. While working on one of my father's ideas for the commodity traders, Hiral and I felt that the problem we were solving was much bigger and had a much wider audience. And together, maybe we could give it a stab. And that's how the journey started, one problem at a time and picking the next big one. And here we are, one of the largest in the stock market space today. To put it simply, actually, everything evolves at Market Pulse and everything has a history. And as you said, right, like nothing's abrupt at Market Pulse, be it products or be it culture or anything that we do at Market Pulse. Over to you, Ida.
Just let me ask one more question to Amit. When you were in college or school or in engineering college, when you looked at the stock market, what are the first few things that hit your mind? Because you're the techie, right? You're not someone with that market background. What was your impression of the stock markets?
Actually, I never looked at it, to be honest. I was pretty much in the technology space, right? So when I looked at the stock market, what enticed me was the technology behind it. Financial markets have been one of the most, non-transparent or hidden, opaque technology per se, but they have always been ahead in adopting or doing technology innovations just because of the tremendous, money that rides on it, right? And the kind of information and the decisions that need to be made. So yeah, to answer your simple question, it was always the technology behind the stock market that intrigued me, but not the markets themselves as such.
And of course, last few years, I think technology has taken over the stock markets, whether it's, the FANG stocks or whether it is the technology we use. Hiral, tell us about yourself.
So I come from the finance and trading background, spent about 7 years in the markets, including trading desk, broking firms, designing contracts for the exchange. And in 2015, I think soon after our marriage, we decided to start Market Pulse. At Market Pulse, I manage the entire financials, the cash flow of the company, and also look at the product strategy. So yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, fantastic. So you've got technology, you've got markets. What a lovely combination. Mm-hmm. Okay, guys. So let's start, right? Because stock trading, it's a difficult profession. Doing it full time, of course, doing it for a hobby and all is a different thing, which I think is what happened last year. I remember Nitin Kamath of Zerodha writing a fairly detailed post trying to figure how large is this trading community in India, and he had perspectives on people who trade once in few months, once in a month, and daily. And if I recall correctly from that post, he pegged the size of the intraday equity and active Fndo traders, which I'm assuming is the largest bunch in India, people who trade on a daily basis, whether it's stocks, whether it's Fndo, at around 1 million, which is around about 10 lakhs. So that seems like really tiny, although, he said that it's, when you look at it from the perspective of people who are paying their income taxes, which is probably about 7-8 crores, it's not that tiny. How do you guys look at this problem that you've got such a small or reasonably medium size, depending on how you look at it, base of equity traders What are your thoughts on this? Do you have your own estimate?
So we've seen over 2.5 million traders on our platform over the last 5 years, with about 6 lakh currently active and relying on market pulse. So I would definitely second the claim that the audience is less in number. However, it's important to note that the pool is fresh and every year it keeps replenishing. So it isn't that there are only 1 million traders out there. Every year close to 3 million people enter the market and only 10% of it make it to the next year. So yes, the
Wow.
claim is true, but pulled out of context, it may not be right data to judge really the size of the market, given the fact that there is a 3 million population entering the market every single year. So I mean,
3 million entering every year and only 10% stay back.
yes,
Let's get into the reasons. I mean,
it's
if
so
you've... Sorry, go on,
it's
please.
just difficult for them to really survive and thrive in the market, and that's why we see this very high churn. And with the growing awareness around the stock markets, understanding of options trading, which are comparatively safer, and low returns on passive investment options, people are looking actively to take up trading, and the market is definitely on the rise. So yes,
Sure.
we feel that this number is to go up.
Okay. Help me understand why it's so difficult to make money trading, right? You spoke about Fndo, you spoke about passive income or passive investing. I want to just get into this in a little bit of detail, if you can. What are the reasons behind trading being such a difficult activity? And what do you think is wrong here? Is this ignorance? Is this because people enter into the market without knowing anything and they make all the wrong decisions? Or is it because the market inherently is something which whatever you do, you can't make money? Or what exactly? So let's kind of spend some time explaining this, because I'm sure that a lot of our listeners... See, here's the thing, Hiral. I don't cover trading so much on my podcast, and it's very rare for me to get people from the trading community out here. So I'm really thrilled to have you guys out here. That's why it'll be great if we can just have a slightly more detailed discussion as to your perspective here. Why is it so difficult to make money trading stocks or F&O for that matter? Anything?
Maybe I'll take this one actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So,
sure.
So our whole mission actually is to solve this problem of dropouts. That's actually probably what maybe differentiates us from pretty much everybody in the industry. While many others are trying to increase the participation, there is 7 crore population, right? And everyone's trying to bring them all into the stock market, basically.
7 crore being the number of people who file in the
income tax. I mean, they are probably I'll go with what Mr. Nitin Kamath has to say, because he knows much better than all of us, right, about the stock markets. So, but we feel that the real problem is in retention, actually, right? So our whole target is to not get more into the markets to burn their hands, but to first put out the fire, and more will come automatically, is what our belief is. Right. So now through our extensive user research, we conduct a lot of user studies actually. And we have done that for maybe over 50,000 traders over the last 5 years. Right. And this involves understanding their needs about the software, tools, information, their behaviors, their trading journeys, their failures, their motivations. And we have understood there are 3 reasons for dropouts. Right. 3 reasons why this industry has such a bad perception and this really stagnant active trading population, right? There are 3 reasons to it, and some of them are actually what you have mentioned, but I'll talk about 3 here. One is basically skills, right? So now trading is not a game of chance; it's a game of skill, right? And it needs discipline, it needs grit actually to develop these skills, hone them, master them, right? Now, while I say this, it might sound like a mountain to climb, but actually it's not. It's not rocket science. It's quite simple, actually, right? Only thing is that you need to have a way to develop these skills, practice them, and then put them to use, basically. So the first 6 months to a year in the market should actually be looked at, realize that you are an amateur, and stay within your limits to develop the skills, not to make money. Right? Like any other profession you get into, the first year is about just kind of getting comfortable. It's not about making some $1 million here, right? You don't go to your boss and ask that, okay, I want 1 crore now as salary, right? It's a learning phase. So I think largely there is a lot of education happening and some people are doing great work, but unfortunately, they are not focusing on skill building. They're focusing on education. And a lot of it is actually inherently driven by marketing context, basically. So I think skills is something that people are forgetting. And this is something which is like your profession, whether you're an engineer, whether you're an anchor, or whether you are a entrepreneur. Skill is what you need, basically. So that's one of the primary reason. And we're going to do something revolutionary here to make skill building happen in the trading space, right? And it only takes 6 months. It doesn't take more than that to actually get comfortable. Second point is your emotions get in your way. Now, this is no different than anything else. Like even for an entrepreneur, I say the same thing that your emotions are your biggest enemy. Similarly, anything that you're doing which is inherently involved with money and is risky and stuff, your emotions will get into your way. So I don't blame emotions as a whole, and it's not like traders need to sit and meditate all day long to actually become great at emotions. I think emotions will stay. We are humans and we inherently will have these emotions. So the way to tackle emotions really is that first a newbie needs to focus on skills and then eventually start mastering, realizing where their emotions come into play. I'll give you an example, right? Now, a newbie, let's say, for example, he's put into a car and said that go on the highway. He has no freaking idea of how to drive a car, doesn't know what a steering is, doesn't know what a gearbox is. And you put him on the highway, he's going to meet with an accident. Now you can't blame him saying ki, oh, you were so anxious and you got so scared and that's why you. No, you did the wrong thing by putting him into the car on the highway. Now, unfortunately, today most of the players out there are doing this. They're actually giving the car to people and expecting them to drive on the highway. They are going to meet with an accident. So for us, actually, it's really about first getting the skills, then helping them control the emotions such as the urge to speed on a highway, try adventurous terrains like a Leh Ladakh road, or experiment with faster cars like an F1 car. So I think skills are first, emotions come second. Third biggest problem that we see through our entire journey is advisory. Now,
Wow.
if you wish to trade, you have to do it on your metal. You cannot rely on someone. You can hear everybody what they are talking about, but you have to take your own decisions. Now, if you really want an advisor, you don't want to use your brains, then you go to the other extreme, which is that give your money to them and let them manage it for you. Don't try to do a half-baked thing. So either you manage your own money, get skilled and manage it, or you completely give the money to someone else. And mutual funds and ETFs are a great way to do that. So Market Pulse actually works at these two extremes, like either trading or help you, get into ETFs, mutual funds and stuff. Now, no advisor can guarantee you more than 60% success, 70% to top it, right? And they won't come to help you in that 40% failures, basically, or they're not around, right? Like, so the failures are yours, basically. So I think it's not the advisor's fault or they are not to be blamed, but it's people themselves, actually. So while I see the industry pushing very aggressively towards education, towards advisory, and constantly blaming emotions for the trader's loss, we see it very differently. And this is not how we perceive it. This is actually our understanding of these traders and talking to so many people that if you get them skills, if you help them develop systems that remove emotions on their own automatically, and if you help them do things on their own metal, you will be able to keep more people in the market. And that will have a rolling effect of actually enabling more people to come into the market. So we are not trying to bring more people into the market. We want to actually keep people in the market first, and they will automatically inspire others to come into the market.
Very interesting. I want to now just, now that you've laid out the problem so well and in such detail, I want to just get into a few points out here. So just taking the third point first and then going back on that. When you said that advisors can at best give you 60-70% guarantee, what's the logic for that? Because, for a lot of people, trading is a coin flip, and a coin flip has only 50% chance of heads and 50% chance of tails. So how did you get is there a logic to the 60-70% number that you quoted?
So it's actually what pretty much all advisories will actually. So nobody can guarantee for sure. But most of the advisories, when they share their reports and results, it's like a good 60-70%. And a lot of good traders that I've spoken to in my journey talk about it this way, that 6 to 7 trades are success and 3 to 4 trades are failures, basically.
Wow.
Now it's really about knowing that those getting those skills where 6 of them actually trump the 4, basically. So technically, if you look at it from a trading, you don't want to make 1,000% return, right? That's just not what you want to do. What you essentially want to do is, even if trading you're able to get 10%, 20%, 30% month on month, that's phenomenal actually. Now, for that, you just need to do one simple thing, which is like in life generally, right? Like if 51% times you're right, you're technically in overall 1% right.
Correct.
That's good enough. So here, what you need to do is understand that failures are going to happen, right? You are going to go wrong. There's no two ways about it. So don't try to be right all the time. All you need to do basically is have a plan and make sure that you learn from your mistakes and you focus on your successes, basically. And even if 60% of the time you're right, basically, but the 40% that you're wrong, you're able to cap it, basically. Because see, what can happen in markets is 9 times you may be right, 1 time you may be wrong. But if you're a fool, that 1 time is enough to wipe off your
Wipe
capital.
you out. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really that the skills, emotions, and advisory. So the number that I quote from an advisory perspective is just generally
Sure. Sure.
what
Sure.
what the advisors actually typically claim in the industry.
Lovely. Let's get into the softer aspects now, right? Because it's really fascinating what you said. I want to start on the luck versus skill debate because this is a global debate. And probably if you could help me with the feedback that you have got since you've been talking to traders, you've been talking to ordinary people. I'm sure you would get friends and family coming up to you saying, Amit, I want to make money in the stock market. Tell me how to do it. Mujhe stock trading karna hai. So let's get into the detail of the luck versus skill debate, and then we'll get into discipline. So first up, luck versus skill. What do you think is the right way, and what do you think is what people actually do, which is different from that and kind of messes things up?
Actually, this is a very interesting question. This is a topic that I really talk about a lot, basically. And it's not just in the context of trading. It's in the context of entrepreneurship. It's in the context of life. And it's in
Life
context of
itself.
everything, actually, right?
Yeah.
Luck is nothing, actually, right? It seems like people who do well seem to be lucky. But if we have to look at a lot of books that have been written, basically, good to great, and there are Jim Collins had written a lot of stuff, and he's done a lot of research on this. Basically,
Yeah.
One of the subject that he actually went into the depth of was actually luck. And he realized that every single great entrepreneur or company or industry did not actually have more luck than the ones that failed, actually. In fact, the ones that failed on paper had more luck, actually. So it's not really luck, actually. It's grit. It's your perseverance. It's your passion towards what you want to do. So if you really are interested in trading, you really want to make money out of this, it's about knowing how to start and slowly developing those skills over a period of time. And within 2 to 3 years, you will realize that you're spending very limited time and you have a fantastic way to actually consistently have a second income, actually. So I look at everything as skill. And at Market Pulse, like one of the things with us as a startup, right, is that we actually have people, no, not even a single person is with a pedigree or with coming from big companies or from, having a IIM, IIT degree or anything. They're just ordinary people. Actually, before Market Pulse, nobody knew us. And even in Market Pulse now, nobody knows us, actually, right? We're just known by the work that we have done. So for us to be able to build something which is technically, like as you said, right, 10 lakh is what the active trading population is. We have got 6 lakh on our platform.
Wow.
And nobody knows us in the industry, right? Only our users know us. We have zero marketing. We have nothing, basically, right? So now typically such an ordinary bunch of people could do it. Now, how do you say we are lucky? We have got not massive funding. We don't have anything, right? So if we can do it, I think it's just about skill. It's just about grit. Stay at it, keep at it, learn and keep doing it. And traders can do the same, actually. You don't need luck. And if you're going into trading with a concept of luck, then you might as well stay out of it. You are going to lose. You are going to lose your money.
Fantastic. I love that balance because you're pretty straight up with believing in fact versus getting emotional, because I think that's what I've seen with a lot of people who want to enter into stock trading with some crazy expectations that they can easily make 40-50%. And I'm afraid social media doesn't help out here, right? Because you've got people posting screenshots, and the seminars and the workshops alone on this is one more level.
Because
Fantastic
they're trying
point.
to solve the problem of participation, or maybe they're working for themselves where they need to get more people in the game, right?
Yeah,
I think.
Listen, I'm sure you're also all for that, Amit. But it's the expectations there. If you're going to post just successful trades and give the impression that this is how it is in trading, if you could follow them or if you could take their, I don't know where that's going. And it's very humble of you to say that nobody knows us, and you've got no fancy elite, sorry, not fancy, but elite education degrees. I don't have many people on my show who say that upfront, which gets me to the next point. Discipline. Why is that important?
You can't achieve anything in life without discipline. And discipline doesn't really need military discipline. Discipline, all it means is, like, for example, you got to keep your teeth clean. You've got into a discipline of brushing every single day, right? That's a simple discipline. There's nothing more fancier than that. So discipline is again a part of, for you to be able to do something regularly, consistently, right? Consistency is very important, right? If you are an anchor, you've been working at it for the last 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, or maybe 30 years, right? I, as an engineer, have been working on it for 15 years regularly, day in and day out, doing something to get there, right? So when people look at trading as saying, oh, I'm just going to come in, put my money, and suddenly I'll get lucky, right? It's not a lottery. You have to look at trading as saying, okay, this is something that's nice. This is probably the only way I can make 25% year on year. No other mechanism is going to do that. Property is out, gold's out, passive investments are out. If you want to make 25% return or something like that, trading is probably the only way, or maybe get into a business or an entrepreneurship or something like that. So now if you want to do this, then you actually come with that mindset that, okay, I'm going to give myself 1 year at least to try this out, and I'm going to stick at it, and I'll have discipline. I'll spend 15 minutes a day continuously either reading Economic Times, following Bloomberg videos, or just spending time on the market, paper trading, whatever the hell it is, right? Without discipline, you can't be anything. Like, you can't get anything. And hobbies and all are fine, but this is money, right? Like, you can't make money without discipline. It's not going to happen.
Did you have a logic for the 25% number, or that's just a number that you put out there? I mean, 25% return.
Okay, some of these numbers might be just based on experiences and stuff like that. So largely the way it happens basically is you have your FD, and then you have your debt funds, and then you have your mutual funds. So they're all pegged at 7% FD, then you have 9% for debt, and then you have 15% for mutual fund. And these are industry norms that you look at it basically.
Yeah.
So, and entrepreneurship or businesses, when you look at it, like even the top VCs invest in industries which are growing 25% year on year. So technically, these are just industry, sort of norms and stuff like that. So,
I mean, I asked that because I didn't want to give an impression to our listeners that इसमें 25% बन सकता है. I mean, there are years when you'll make 80%. There are years when you'll make minus 20%. Who knows? But so, folks, that was the logic for that.
No, my point is basically, if you're looking at less than 15%, then you technically can look at passive investments. You don't need to go through this hassle of trading. I mean, it's all right. You can skip it, and you can just look at other avenues to make money, basically.
Yeah, you can pluck a number that's comfortable to you. Hiral, please, I need your perspective, because I rarely get women guests on my podcast. वो अलग ही story है. I wish I could go into that someday. In all my 4 years, and it's 4 years, by the way, Amit, I haven't been doing this for 10, 15 or 30 years. I rarely get any women guests, and what makes Hiral even more special is the fact that she's into stock trading, making her the first stock trading woman guest I have had on my podcast. So, really, thank you so much for doing this. Hiral, any thoughts out here?
So, thanks, Anupam. But I think he's already covered, what are the hard problems of why making money through trading is not an easy task. But in general, also, like, making money is not easy, right? We spend entire lives to earn through our individual professions. Then why should trading be any easy? And I think the real problem is that people consider trading as a casino. So, ultimately what you need to do is to survive and thrive in markets is not just with skills, intelligence, tools, but you really need like a very healthy balance of patience, grit, wisdom, resilience. So I think all these kind of traits are very, very important. And I believe the willingness for a person to develop these traits inherently in itself is a huge leap towards becoming confident traders and create wealth through markets. So I think the softer skills is something which are very, very important to actually consistently make money in market.
Wow, love that. That's a part that people don't get. I mean, they just come with these rose-tinted glasses keys, so aaram se paisa ban jayega. So, okay. Anyway, folks, we're going to take a small break out here. When we come back on this episode of Paisa Vaisa, we're going to get into the Market Pulse app. If you've not checked it out, go to the Play Store on Android or the App Store on iPhone and download the Market Pulse app and check it out. On the other side of this break, we're going to tell you how Market Pulse solves all the problems that we just defined to you in the first half of this episode. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. My guests, Amit Dhakad and Hiral Jain, founders of the Market Pulse app.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another great week on the IBM Podcast Network. If you're not following us on social media, please do. We're IBM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We'd like to thank our sponsors this week, thewholetruthfoods.com, PayPal, Cred, and Ciat. Thank you so much for working with us. We really appreciate it. First up this week, let me tell you about Cyrus Says. We featured popular YouTuber and actor Prajakta Kohli, who took us through her journey of content creation. We also had conversations with Vasanthi Hariprakash and Sachin Kalbag this week. Really great conversations. Do check those out. Vineet Kanabar goes solo this time on Storytellers and Storysellers as he talks about his favorite IPL ads and how brands have been making content around the Cricket League. On The Habit Coach, Ashton was joined by Arjun and Somesh of the Fighting Goat podcast to talk about fitness for combat sports like the mixed martial arts. On Nankari, Sadaf and Archit discussed the diet and lifestyle of athletes with the host of the Millennial Athlete, Shok Ramchandra, who is also a pro badminton player and coach. Ambarana opens the 4th season of Know Your Kanun with a list of things he has planned on the show for us, including episodes on immigration law and on career prospects for law students. The IPL season's on and we've definitely got you covered. Tune into the Edges and Sledges podcast if you're looking for English, and if you're looking to listen to something in Hindi, definitely check out Khel Neeti. Both are great shows with great takes. And with that, let me get you back to your show.
And welcome back to this episode of Paisa Vaisa, the Market Pulse special. We had a really fascinating discussion on the first side of this episode where we spoke about how skills, discipline, and being careful about advice is really the 2 or 3 things it takes for you to start trading successfully, or at least with some amount of success in the stock market. That includes equity, that includes Fndo, and all of that. It's really important, guys. So, I hope that all of you are listening in when we speak about stuff like luck versus skills and how you can actually develop skills. Amit had a really long answer and a detailed answer on that. He also spoke about discipline. That I think is a backbone, not just for trading, but even for investing and for a lot of things in life. But in trading, it becomes even more important. And finally, advisory, the kind of advice that you take, the kind of information that you absorb when you're doing all of this. So now, guys, let's come back and talk about the app. Tell us how it solves all the problems that you defined in the first half of the episode. Tell us about Market Pulse.
So, firstly, I don't think it's solved much of the problem yet. It's going to take us 10 more years to do that.
How old is that?
5 years now.
You've been around for 5 years.
Yes.
I don't do active stock trading, but I'm pretty sure that I would have downloaded your app. Sure, please go on. Sorry.
So far, basically, our flagship product, which also goes by the name Market Pulse as the company, is the first market analysis platform to be built specifically for mobile. Like, we are one of those very few players, or probably the only one, who's not on desktop, right? Because of our audience who we care about, really. Now, this is like fast, basically. Like, it's just like, it just works at the blink of an eye, right? And in trading, which is such a fast moving thing, speed is something that is very, very important. Second thing it does is it's super easy, basically, right? Like, markets are already intimidating. Now, we have made sure that users don't get intimidated with too many steps, layers, and they get to their analysis very quickly and very smoothly. And we have intentionally made sure that we don't make it like very pro heavy and something which they're going to get very intimidated with. And third thing, which is very, very crucial, is reliability. So back in 2016, October 2016, we got a feedback from the customers saying, sorry for the inconvenience, doesn't work in markets. And we took that and we stuck it up on our wall, and it's been in our minds throughout the last 5 years, right?
Wow.
And this is our credo, and our users agree, right? Like we've made sure that we actually build something which simply just doesn't go down. And that is the evidence, and our users have given us a Play Store rating of like 4.6 with like over 55,000 reviews, basically, right? Now, while the app does a very good job with information and tools for decision making, like I really think like anything beyond what Market Pulse gives is probably falls into a category where you have now got to a pro level where you are explicitly requiring some very specific niche things, basically. But for most of the people starting their journey in the stock market, this has everything. It has your news, it has your charts, it has your information, it has fancy things also, which probably no other platform provides. But we must recognize that it alone cannot solve the multi-pronged problem of the discouraging market perception and the culture of dropouts that's evident today. Now, this is the reason why we are constantly innovating to develop the most relevant solutions to build confidence in market aspirants so they can create wealth on their own with the help of technology. Now, over the next couple of years, we're going to work towards a revolutionary skill building platform and make sure that they get the necessary guidance. Now, again, not human guidance, but they get the necessary guidance to technology that is required for them to be able to kind of really make use of the information and tools that we've been giving them. And mind it, we are not going to do YouTube videos. They don't work.
Wow. Okay. Why don't YouTube videos work? Because YouTube is full of trading.
Tell me,
Amit.
They're knowledge, right? They're knowledge, actually. So knowledge is great, but it's like theoretical knowledge. Like when I was in engineering, I learned a lot, basically. When I came to the industry, I was like, oh man, I have no idea what's going on here. So what is required really is skills. Knowledge is not important, right? Wisdom, skill is what is necessary for you to do anything that you do in life. So somewhere this knowledge needs to be translated into skill, basically. And unfortunately, with a lot of YouTube videos, what happens is they are out of context. They are in isolation, and people are looking at them with the hope of finding that golden spoon. Now, you don't find a golden spoon. You actually have a silver spoon, which you keep rubbing, and one day that may not become gold, but that will give you gold on its own.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I say that YouTube videos don't work.
Okay. Amit, the challenges, I guess, of audio medium is that we can't really have a screen out here that can walk our listeners through what you offer. And like you said, YouTube videos are also not much use. But let's assume that I am someone who's absolutely new to the stock markets and I'm very clear that I want to start stock trading. Could you walk me through how you guys help me out? Maybe, in just the features of your app or whatever it is.
Right. So for now, actually, it's just information and tools, right? So technically, skill building, knowledge, and this whole guidance is something that we're going to work over the next 2-3 years. I mean, we're going to actually release our first beta version of the skill building platform in just a couple of months, actually.
Okay.
However, as of right now, the thought basically is that you already know the basics or you're learning from other places. There is enough knowledge out there.
So let me reframe the question then. Okay, maybe this might help you. Let's say that I'm someone who's slightly more savvier and I know what is Fndo. I know what is cash markets. Let's say that I come in with a strategy that I want to trade Infosys for the quarterly results. Okay. It's just a random strategy. It used to be one of the most popular ones that you could easily short in feed during the results, or you could go long depending on which side you believe the results came. But maybe, if you could use that as symbolic or whatever, could you answer as to how Market Pulse helps me then?
I could actually, but I'll probably answer it in a way that might actually help understand what you do.
Yeah. Go
so
for whichever
in a
way,
way, actually, right, all traders, right, typically are technical traders, technical analysis, right? When you talk about fundamental analysis, that goes more into an investment space. From a trading perspective, you typically fall into two categories. Either you're an options trader using various strategies, or you're a technical analysis trader who relies typically on charts, basically, and technical strategies, right? So you really look at that data and what's happening, and then you make your decision.
Basically,
right?
price movement, price and probably volume.
Price, volume, and then obviously you have lots of strategies that you build on top of the price volume analysis, right? So now Market Pulse just does what you need as a technical trader. It gives you absolutely real-time market information, which is your stock market prices. There's probably nobody that does it as fast as we do. So I can claim it very, very bluntly on an open channel. Sure. Second is the charting product, right? Every single other product in the market is actually using third-party products and none of them are actually suited for a mobile platform. We are the only one which has actually built a charting product which actually just works for people who are new into the market and who are not yet pro, basically, right? Once they turn pro, they still use it, but then they jump on to more expert platforms per se. So for us, if you come to Market Pulse, you get your real-time data, you get your charts, which help you do all your technical analysis. You don't need a desktop at all. You can just do it on your mobile phone. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, you get like a nice real-time stock screener, which is very comprehensive. So you could actually devise your own technical strategy to kind of pick stocks, basically.
Excellent. Let's do this. Okay. Let's say that I want stocks of less than 500 crore market cap, whose 5-day DMA is over the 10-day DMA. This is just a completely random strategy. It seems absolutely
basic. This is very simple. Yeah? This is very basic. You can do a lot more advanced stuff, actually.
Wow.
You could actually technically, yeah.
And your app actually helps me with this.
Yeah, it's there. You can just go. It's a fantastic UI. You can just go there. You can put any of the strategies that you can combine 5-6 conditions. You could actually.
That's what I'm talking about. It just helps whatever. Yeah. So for the listeners, this is just to help you through.
It also has a lot of ready-made technical strategies out there. So people can actually pick templates and then put them together, test it for themselves, and it just works on any time frame in like 100 milliseconds. So it's not like you do it and you'll have to wait for the results to come. It just comes instantly, basically.
So when you say test it, are you saying that I can choose a back testing of, say, the last 1 year that tells me that when the strategy...
For a scanner, you don't need back testing. Actually, back testing is for system traders, and that's a different concept. For stock scanning, you probably don't need to do back testing as such. But we do have another system, which is an algo alerting system. Now, algo trading is not allowed in India, but you've got algo alerting. So technically what you can do is you can create a strategy, as you said, right? And you could actually run it across all the stocks in the stock market. And whenever those stocks of interest actually come, you'll get a signal on your phone within like 15 seconds, actually. Wow. So you can do a variety of things. You've also got news, basically. Like we got like almost like Google News, but very personalized to what you are interested in. So technically, we scrape the entire universe for all the relevant news, and we just show you the ones that are really interest of you, working with like all AI and recommendation and on top of it. So I mean, when you're at Market Pulse, right, as a trader, especially as a technical trader, there's nowhere else you should be going to. You can just do everything here. And that's the reason, right? Like, I mean, all these 6 lakh traders typically are with one of the other brokers, but they use Market Pulse and they spend 45 minutes on an average per day. And that's an average of the last 3 years. So that's the amount of time that each one of them actually spends out of a market, which is just for 6 hours.
I was just going to say that. Out of what? I mean, it's less than 6 hours, right? It's about 9:15 to 3:30, just over 6 hours. Out of that, they're already on your app 45 minutes for every trading day, huh?
Yeah, every trading day. And so it just works typically.
Okay, Hiral, please, just interrupt us whenever we're talking. I just feel very bad that you're out of the discussion. Just come in and say whatever you want, whenever you want.
Yes.
During this, Amit, a few questions, right? So you don't do the execution part. As in, if I want to execute my trades, do you have any tie-ups with brokers that will help me? Because execution time is also important. And if I'm doing the analysis on your app, any thoughts on that?
I think Hiral, you want to take this?
I could take it. Just before going to the execution part, there's also one more key strength that I would like to add on. Is basically that the entire app that we have built, the technology which is used behind that is entirely developed in-house. Now, that has given us immense, ability to actually not get dependent on third-party providers. Even in terms of the speed, accuracy, reliability, we've been able to achieve all of this purely based on our tech. So, we are a tech first company. So, this is something which clearly acts as our differentiator when it comes to, other applications or other platforms which provide similar kind of tools for traders. So that is one point that I wanted to make. And now coming to the execution part, right? Again, people on our app they come on the app, they do their analysis, but now again to place a trade, they need to go to their broker platform. And what has happened is even in the broking industry, right? There is nobody who's been able to really solve the problem of the real technology issues which are being faced. So, recently we saw the exchange going down for like so many hours, right? We hear on a weekly basis some or the other broking system crashing. Now, this is a problem which none of the brokers have been able to solve. And this is exactly what we intend to do in the next 2 years, basically.
Nice.
So we are coming up with a broking arm of our own. And we're developing our trading product completely in-house. And I think the USP that we are banking on is 99.999% reliability, which is like 5 nines. There are very, very few companies who really work on this kind of reliability. And this is specifically to cater to the tech challenges that this industry has been facing for last so many years. And I think with platforms like these, we're trying to cover people actively into the market and support them through their analysis and their execution journey. So these are the... Yeah.
I'm saying do consider Paisa Vaisa when you launch the broking product, because I would love to tell the story of your broking product whenever that's out to...
It's in fact, it's coming out very soon. We've already in the process of applying for the membership licenses.
Nice. Got like a sneak preview out here, folks. I think please do come back. You've got a kid in the background, I think. You should just, my shout out to who? Is that a boy, girl, what?
Yeah. She's actually just 10 months. Yeah.
Wow.
She's a lockdown baby.
Must be tough for you to handle that, huh? I gotta love, just hats off to you for managing the kid and the work and everything. So folks, if you guys are wondering where that noise is coming from, you know how this is. It's a tough time for all of us. Even now the studio isn't open and Amit and Hiral are, at least Hiral is from our house. So, hi to your 10-month-old, and I hope she is doing well.
Yes, thank you so much.
Amit, so, you've given a very interesting answer to how Market Pulse solves all of the problems that we spoke about in the first part. And I like how this is, a really comprehensive product that's probably for a lot of different types of traders. How do you guys work as an organization, right? Because, like you said, the app is some 5 years old, but as an organization, you're not really in the headlines. So is there some secret behind this? Like, are you guys working from a bat cave somewhere? Tell us about the organization and what's different.
Okay, fair enough. So I think while products take the limelight and all of that, right? I think products are actually a byproduct of people, actually. It's people who build these products, right? And we are kind of very focused on our culture and determined to make a difference with the culture that we're building, actually. Now, in a highly intimidating domain like fintech, and especially where money is everything, right? We actually have built a culture of which actually is not driven by money, actually. So while we are in a fintech space, internally we don't have KPIs that we track. We don't hold responsible for targets and things like that, right? like a sense of mental well-being becomes immensely crucial for us. Last year, like for example, we began our mandatory time off program called Reboot. Actually, now we have taken the conscious decision to shut down for one long weekend every month. Actually, pushing our folks to switch off and unwind. We have a concept of offender. So if people work for more than 10 hours a day, they are publicly shamed as an offender, and team takes action to stop them from being one.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
Last December, we had like a 9-day reboot where we really set the tone of the program, and, which is getting bigger and better from here, basically. There are a lot more things in terms of the entire culture. Right? Like, for example, one of the interesting quarterly exercise that we do is gifts of growth, actually, where we actually celebrate each other's awesomeness and help each other grow through our areas of struggle without actually the organization being part of it at all, which means there is no feedback, 360-degree review, performance review at Market Pulse. It's actually it's a team's responsibility to grow each other, basically, right? We are actually fascinatingly now experimenting with an idea in this whole work from an environment. People are taking two approaches. Either they're pushing people back to office now, or they're completely going work from home. But I think what ends up happening is while growth of the company, revenues, and work, and all of that is important, human bond is what we live for, actually, right? So we are now experimenting with an idea where we can every quarter spend some time, maybe a week or two, together co-living and co-working, actually. So we're having the first one in March now, where we're going to spend 8 days working together and living together. So, there are a lot of these kind of things that's happening. One of the things that's also happening at Market Pulse is we have dropped the idea of appraisal, actually. We've moved to more of a wealth distribution initiative where everybody gets a flat increment. Every single person in the organization get an ESOPs. And the whole idea is basically we are in this together, actually, right? So it's not just the product that we want to make a difference with out there. We actually want to revolutionize this whole fintech industry, and not through just the business of money, but it's humans, actually, and in the culture. So the philosophy is very simple. Like, while we may be in the business of money, it's humans that always come first. And today it's capital markets. Tomorrow it could be something else. But we are just building a company with a bunch of folks who are just ordinary, but they can do amazing stuff without actually any luck, which you pointed out earlier. They'll just do it based on grit, actually.
Okay, guys. Anything else that you want to tell us? We covered how to be a good trader. You've told us about your plans for the future. Is there anything that you want to leave our listeners with a message? Maybe some tips. I don't mean tips as in how to make money easily, but if you were talking to a person who's brand new to stock trading and he's just entering into the markets now, what would you guys tell him? Amit, Hiral, I want both of your answers out here.
So I think if someone's coming into the stock market, I think the first thing is basically drop your notion of what you think what the stock market is. Make sure that you understand and are prepared to wait it out the long run, basically. So if you are into investment, it still requires 3-5 years of patience. If you're into trading, it still requires a 3-5 years of period, basically. So irrespective of whatever it is, stock market is a fantastic opportunity, and probably the only way going forward, actually, to have a second income at the side, right? If you're looking at a stock market as in comparison to gold and property and a lot of other age-old techniques, right? So in that sense, stock market is the way, but you need to differentiate, have your goal aligned, and realize that whether you are looking at 12-15% and you have no time, then passive investment is the way to go for you, and maybe ETFs are a great way to go into that journey. And if you know that stock market is really interesting, I really will have fun at this, and this is a really nice intellectual space I want to get into, and I can develop the skills. It'll be awesome fun to actually do this. Then be prepared, to develop those skills, and the way you have done with your profession, right? Wherever you are, you won't have to spend so much time, but you have to do that same thing that you did with your profession. You do at least 5% of it in trading, and you will see amazing results for sure.
Fantastic. Hiral, what if your 10-month-old daughter wants to become a stock trader when she grows up? What do you think would be the skills that you would want to impart to her?
Interesting question. So,
I'm just putting it out there. I'm a parent. My kid is 12 years old. I don't think he's becoming a stock trader, but just asking.
I mean, it's up to her what profession she wants to take it.
Yeah.
But I think there are some qualities which either ways we would like to, imbibe in our children is discipline. And I think along with that is grit, resilience, patience. So all these qualities, as I mentioned, right, these are the softer skills which you develop over the years, right from the childhood. So definitely I would want to teach her all of this. But I think at the same time, I would also look at, I personally like finance so much. So I would definitely make sure that, at least in terms of teaching, I would get her to that level where, she should be able to manage her finances. I think, in fact, I've heard of a lot of applications. In fact, companies who are looking at teaching children how to manage their finances, how to become independent sooner than later. So I think, there are good developments happening at that end. But I would take those steps at a very early age.
Fantastic. Money management skills for kids. Yeah, that's actually a very important topic. I wish that I could hope to cover it sometime in my podcast, but I'm going to take, this is it, Amit and Hiral. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm going to hold you up for your word when you guys are done, when the broking product is launched, maybe a few months down the line, I hope that you'll come back to Paisa Vaisa. I wish you guys all the very best. As Amit just told me during the break, you are just above the IBM studio. Kya pata, next few months, all of us get vaccinated and the studio is back open and I can have you guys back on the show. But folks, that is a wrap on this episode of Paisa Vaisa. My guests, Amit Dhakad and Hiral Jain, founders of the Market Pulse app. Go over to your respective application stores on your mobile phones and check out the app. It's called Market Pulse. Amit, Hiral, thank you so much for doing this for our listeners. All the best to you for your broking product. All the best for your kid. And I hope to have you back soon.
Thank you so much, Anupam.
Thank you so
much.
Thank you, Anupam.
Thanks, Amit. And listeners, if you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on IBM Network. You can listen to us on the IBM Podcast app or ibmpodcasts.com. IBM Podcast is also doing some great stuff on YouTube. Yeah, do check that out and subscribe to the IBM Podcast YouTube channel. You can also follow us on our social media. We are IBM Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I'm your host, Anupam Gupta, P50 on Twitter. Thank you so much for listening to Paisa Vaisa.
No material on the show should be considered as financial advice. The material on the show is for informational purposes only. Please consult a financial advisor before taking any investment decision.
Namaskar, dear friends. My name is Ashish Vidyarthi. Life, as you know, is a journey. And you and I, travelers, how can we celebrate this travel? I have a podcast for you. Begin the journey. I share stories and moments from my life. Do tune in every Monday and Thursday to listen to my podcast on the IBM Podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcast from. Cheers.
If you love cricket, listen up. The Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast is here for you. Hosted by DJ, Varun, and me, Ashwin, we bring a fun, fresh fan's point of view to talking all things cricket. Sometimes it's just the three of us, sometimes we have guests, including current and former international cricketers. For new episodes every week, check out the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast on the IBM app, website, or wherever you get your podcasts.